You recording?
Oh, right.
Oh, she did something.
Yeah,
Screwed it up.
I did. Oh,
What is this? Get off the
all
damn
right.
phone.
Okay, it's doing it now.
I'm
Okay.
gonna record it.
Professor, before you start timing this, I feel like I should mention that some of the styling of this speech was adopted from a great speaker that I hope also has a good sense of humor. Although if he doesn't, it'll be a much more fun speech. (1975), 1976, 1979, 1980, 2006, 2009, Bradshaw, Ham, Lambert, Swan, Woodson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are only some of the reasons that I believe Pittsburgh, the Steelers, are better than the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to convince you that Pittsburgh is more worthy of your support as a team than are the Cleveland Browns. First, we're going to look at some of the statistics of these teams, just a handful. Then we're going to look at some of the merchandising of these teams. In particular, we're going to look at the colors that these teams wear. And finally, we're going to look at the two cities that stand behind these teams. And when I'm done, you'll be convinced that the Steelers at least deserve a second look. First, let's go over some of the stats. The Steelers, you can't, when you're talking about stats and the Steelers, you can't ignore the number of Super Bowls. The Steelers have 6, the most in the NFL. And to be fair, the Cleveland Browns have less losses than the Steelers do in the Super Bowl.
Cleveland Brown
Cleveland
fan.
Browns have 0 losses in the Super Bowl. The Steelers have 2. However, the Steelers have those 6 wins, and the Browns have 0. The reason for this is because the Cleveland Browns have never made it to the big game.
Be careful.
In the decade of 2001 to 2010, the Pittsburgh Steelers have 106 wins. Cleveland Browns have little more than half that, at 59. Now, we can't just compare overall stats. These are teams that have met each other a lot of times. And in those meetings, the Steelers have scored 2,356 points to Cleveland's 2,287, a 3% difference. Now, they've met each other 116 times in their history, but Pittsburgh has won the majority of those at 60. And we certainly can't ignore the fact that the Steelers have more Hall of Famers. But you can't stop at just stats. Loving a team is not only about statistics. So second, we're going to take a look at the colors of these two teams. Now, on the one hand, you have the Steelers' colors, the black, the gold. You have black, a color that looks good on everybody. A color that matches with just about anything. Who doesn't look good in a nice black suit or a little black dress? And then you have gold, the color of jewelry, a symbol of royalty. These are two colors that look great together and can be combined with any number of colors to still look great. By contrast, the Cleveland Brown colors, orange and brown, don't even look good together. You have orange, the color of pumpkins, carrots, and I can't think of anything else of value that is orange. And then you have brown, the color of... We're going to say mud. And thirdly, we have to compare the cities that stand behind these two teams. Because again, it's not all stats. It's not even all colors. Now certainly you have to look at those stats, and you have to be proud of those colors. But there's cities that stand behind these teams, and this makes a big difference. Now Pittsburgh, using 2010 data earlier this year, for the second time in a row, was ranked the #1 most livable city in the U.S., 29th in the world. Cleveland would not stay far behind, though. Using those same 2010 statistics, Cleveland came in at #8 in violent crimes. #4 in forcible rape. And #1 in burglaries, go team. Now, I will have to admit that Pittsburgh drivers drive slower than Cleveland drivers. We're more cautious, we're more careful. Weather does affect us, and we just like to drive a little slower. But we have a beautiful city to look at, and a lot of reasons to drive slower and just take another little peek. You know, if I was in Cleveland, I'd zip through that bad boy as fast as I could too. So today, I believe that I have presented a strong case in favor of switching your support from Cleveland to Pittsburgh. First, we looked at the statistics, which favor Pittsburgh. We looked at the colors of these two teams, which are hardly worth comparing. And we looked at the cities that stand behind these two teams. And so if nothing else, I ask that you go home today and take a look again at the Pittsburgh Steelers, which, by now you should be convinced, is absolutely a better team than the Cleveland Browns.
Once again, the Cleveland fan.